Hi there, Working Homeschool Moms. This is Charlotte from Charlotte Jones 24/7 and My Little Homeschool. And this is episode number 84 of the Strike a Balance podcast for Working Homeschool Moms. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to Afsaneh Moradian, who is an educator, author, and also a homeschool coach. And she predominantly works with parents who are homeschooling neurodivergent kids. And as you know, I have neurodivergent kids, so I found this episode incredibly useful. There were lots of strategies for engaging kids. She also went into why kids might be resistant to homeschooling. And what I loved the most was how she spoke about the joys and benefits of homeschooling for neurodivergent kids. And it really gave me so much hope and it gave me so much encouragement. If you're homeschooling a neurodivergent child, I'm sure you're going to absolutely love this episode. But before we get to the episode, I'd be ever so grateful if you could rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It just means that more working homeschool moms can find it. And in that way, we can build this beautiful working homeschool mom community together. Thank you so much and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to the Strike a Balance podcast for working homeschool moms. This is Charlotte Jones. I'm a homeschool coach and homeschooling mom of twin boys. I know it can feel really overwhelming to keep all the balls in the air all the time. So each week I chat about tips and strategies for being a happy and thriving working homeschool mom that you can implement in your life too. I also speak to awesome and inspiring women who manage to juggle homeschooling and work successfully and find out what their secrets are. Be sure to check out my time audit and mindset challenge in the show notes and sign up to my newsletter for lots of cool freebies. And if you ever need to chat, please book in a session with me. I'm so excited for you to be here and I hope you'll get so much value out of this episode. So let's get started. Are you looking for a new math curriculum? Well, I'm thrilled to introduce our favorite math curriculum to you. CTC Math specializes in providing online video tutorials that take a multi-sensory approach to learning. Favorably reviewed in Kathy Duffy's 102 Top Picks and the Old Schoolhouse Crew review, the lessons are short and concise to help your children break down concepts and appreciate math in a whole new way. The lessons are taught the traditional way and not to a test. Each one of the video tutorials is taught by an internationally acclaimed teacher, Pat Murray, who is renowned for teaching math concepts in a simple, easy to understand way and in only a few minutes at a time. Using a multi-sensory approach means having the combination of effective graphics and animation synchronized with the voice of a friendly teacher together with a practical assessment. This three-pronged attack makes learning so much easier and more effective. Even students who struggled with math are getting fantastic results, and ones who were doing okay before are now doing brilliantly. Visit ctcmath.com today to start your free trial. CTC Maths is generously offering my listeners an amazing special. Go to www.ctcmath.com/MLH to get a half-price discount plus a bonus 6 months for free. That's ctcmath.com/MLH. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Afsaneh Moradian onto the podcast. Afsaneh is a homeschooling coach and author of the beloved picture book series, Jamie is Jamie, which has sold over 10,000 copies internationally and has become a classroom and home library favorite. As a homeschooling coach, she guides adults by giving them the language to communicate effectively with their children, empowering them to create learning spaces that are safe and inclusive so children can thrive. Thank you so much for spending the time to speak to me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So on this episode, we're going to be diving into a topic which is very close to my heart, and that is homeschooling neurodivergent children. As you know, I have neurodivergent twins that I homeschool, so I'm really, really excited to learn more. So maybe you can start by telling us what you do as a homeschooling coach. How do you help parents who are homeschooling neurodivergent kids?
Sure. So usually parents come to me when they have hit a wall, when their homeschooling experience is full of power struggles, resistance, the kids don't want to do an assignment or, any of the assignments, and everything that they know about parenting, everything they know about schooling, about learning doesn't work. They've tried everything that they know how to do and it doesn't work, and they're just tired of feeling tired. And in constant conflict with their kids. And so they come to me to learn a totally different framework and different approach to learning at home with your kids. So what I do is I have a very holistic approach. We look at communication and planning so that connection is there and really at the center of the learning experiences that are created. So I set the parents up for success so that they can set their kids up for success. And then it becomes a totally different homeschooling experience. So that's what I do as a homeschooling coach.
And I know, as like I said, as somebody who does homeschool neurodivergent kids, the resistance can be so overwhelming and frustrating. If somebody's having a really difficult day, what kind of thing could you advise? What's a quick tip that you could give that could help them to overcome a day or to get through a day where they just feel like you said, they're really hitting a wall?
Definitely the first thing is to never take it personally. When your kids resist doing something, if it's a homeschooling assignment or even brushing their teeth, it's never about you. It's never a reflection of you as a parent, you as the homeschooling teacher. It has nothing to do with you. When our kids resist, they are communicating that they have hit some kind of wall. They have needs that aren't being met. They have, something that is preventing them from doing what we've asked them to do. So rather than, take it personally and feel like you have to, fight now to get them to do what you want or what you think they need to do, instead of that, if you look at the resistance as behavior, then you can begin a conversation with them to figure out what is causing the resistance and what you can do to help remove whatever those obstacles are so that your child can successfully do the math or brush teeth or whatever it is that you think that they should be doing.
I have an exciting announcement to make, something that I've been working on for a long time, which is finally coming to fruition, and that is the WHM Collective. The WHM Collective is a group coaching membership specifically for working homeschool moms. So I know it's really easy to become overwhelmed and frustrated as a working homeschool mom. Group coaching is a fantastic way for you to meet other working homeschool moms online so that you can work on what's holding you back together. It's a great way to learn in a group how to welcome more joy and ease into your life. But let's just quickly think about if group coaching is for you. So group coaching is for you if you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and want to welcome more joy and ease in your life. You're feeling lonely and like nobody really gets what you're going through. You want tools to help you have a more balanced life. You need accountability to make the changes you're craving, and you're ready to invest time and energy into creating a life that you love. Group coaching is not for you if you're unwilling to become aware of what's causing you to feel like you're stuck in a holding pattern. You prefer to go it alone and don't want to share your struggles and hopes. You want a step-by-step guide that requires no thought. You aren't willing to give group coaching the time it takes to see real changes. But if you've decided that group coaching is for you, I'm sure you're going to love the WHM Collective. WHM Collective will be a monthly membership, which you will find on Patreon. And I've hosted on Patreon so that I can keep the costs really low because I know that finances can be an issue. And basically what you'll get for your monthly membership fee is you'll get a monthly workshop, you'll get printables, you'll get email support. You'll have one free one-to-one coaching session included, office hours where you can ask me anything in real time, discounts and special offers. And this is something that I'm really excited about, access to past content, which will be growing exponentially every month as I create new ebooks, as I upload workshops, and as I create printables. So for just $9 a month, you're going to have a lot of support on your working homeschool mom journey. I'm so excited to start this membership. And if this is something that sounds good to you, then be sure to sign up for the waitlist, which will be in the show notes. In my years of experience of homeschooling, I know that all homeschools should be unique. I think that's why we homeschool. We can obviously create a unique learning environment for our kids, and especially I think for neurodivergent kids. But have you noticed any types of curriculum or methodologies that have worked especially well in your experience with working with homeschooling families?
That's such a great question because really what my experience has led me to firmly believe is that because our kids are so unique, there isn't a one size fits all curriculum or even method like, oh, just do Charlotte Mason, just do Waldorf. I really don't think that we can look at it like that. I think what we have to see is the need to modify and adjust. So I completely understand why parents want to buy a curriculum, right? How are you supposed to know what topics? How could you possibly plan a whole year of learning? That's for the experts. That's how a lot of parents think. And then we work together, I work with them to then modify. Okay, so this is what the curriculum says. These are the assignments. This is the work that's laid out. How do we modify it so that it's going to be right for your child where they're at developmentally? Because the thing about children is that their development is so unique and you can't rush development. So if a curriculum has assignments that are not developmentally appropriate, they're never going to work with your child. Those assignments will have to be modified so that your child can do them successfully and then build on their confidence. And sometimes the parents I work with get so frustrated that they've spent so much money on curriculum that their kids resist, that they're just, they don't want to deal with it. They would rather use their kids' interests and passions and just create their own learning experiences. And I definitely guide the parents through how to modify or how to just, create it on their own using their own creativity. And I know that seems really overwhelming and really daunting, and I don't start with that. But the planning part is such an important piece because resistance during learning time really is a reflection of the assignments, of the planning, of the learning experiences. And they just are going to have to be modified in order to offer, neurodivergent homeschoolers learning experiences, activities, assignments that they want to do. And so I don't have an easy answer. I don't think it's just go out and buy a specific curriculum. I think if you find a math program that really works for your family, that's great. I wouldn't assume it would work for another family in the same way. So I don't have an investment and I'm a curriculum writer, but I don't have a very firm investment in a specific curriculum or program. I think that, come to me, talk with me. Let's look at what you're using and how to adapt it so that it can work for your child. Because really the goal is we don't want resistance. We don't want our kids uncomfortable or, putting up a fight during learning time. We want our kids really excited and eager to learn and show us what they're learning. And we want to be there, alongside them, supporting them and cheering them on. So that's the goal. It's just going to take planning in a very specific, customized, personalized way for who your kids are. And I say kids plural because you also want to create assignments and experiences that work for all of the kids that you're homeschooling. So you're not, as the parent, stuck doing one, complete lesson plan for one child and a totally different lesson plan for another child. You want to streamline it to make it easier for yourself. So that's my long answer to a simple question.
Well, I mean, I don't think it is a simple question, though, is it? That's the thing, because I know when people start out, and I've experienced that as well with people that I've spoken to, the curriculum seems to be their first port of
Mm-hmm.
call. It's the first thing they concentrate on. When I think at the end of the day, it's actually your mindset first and foremost before you even get into that curriculum choice. And obviously things like deschooling. I don't know what you feel about deschooling, but I mean, I find deschooling a really effective way to also at least get to know your kids, get to know their learning styles before you even get started with choosing a curriculum.
Oh, absolutely. To me, deschooling is the research phase for parents. And, deschooling, I don't know if everyone listening, you probably already know what it means, but deschooling is just when you take your kids out of school, you then spend a period of time. And it's it's not a determined period of time. It could be a couple of weeks, it could be a month. For certain subjects that your kids are very anxious and underconfident about, you may need to take much longer. When I took my child out, it was preschool, okay? It was academic preschool that was going to break my unique child. And it was a very long time before I could ask my child to hold a pencil or a pen and try to do some writing, because they were teaching the kids to write at 3-4 years old, and it was so developmentally inappropriate that it really created a trigger for my child. So that the deschooling process with writing took far longer than deschooling in general. So deschooling is just, you really don't ask your kids to do any academic work, you just live life with them. And it doesn't mean that they don't do any learning, because kids are always learning. Kids are learning through play. They're learning when they read, but you're not creating, lesson plans and consciously teaching subjects. You're just having experiences with your kids. And I think when I say it's research, it is absolutely research. You're paying attention to, what are your kids really into? What do they really like? What shows are they watching? What games are they playing? How do they like to read? Where do they like to read? My kid has to build like nests and snuggle up in a nest in order to comfortably read a book. Some kids like to be upside down on a chair or a couch to read. Like, who is this person? Who is this individual? What time of day do they have the most energy and the most focus? How much movement do they need to thrive? How often do they need to eat? This is like the first thing I start with. Well, the first thing I start with is power struggles. The second thing is, how often do you need to put food into your kid? And each child is different. But as parents, we always do our meal planning, and then we're like a little late to realize there's a growth spurt going on, and our kids are really hungry, and they can't do learning time when they're hungry or when they're thirsty or when they've been sitting too long. So really, how do we identify those cues that our kids are giving us, that they need, an additional snack, or the snack needs to be earlier, or, if a subject is really tough for them, if you give them something to eat first, do a little movement first, give them something to eat, something to drink, they'll be able to focus a little bit better. So, what are the physiological needs involved? So you get all of that information during deschooling, but from your child's point of view, you're just hanging out with them. They're getting to hang out with their parent, who's just completely interested in talking to them and playing and finding out, what they think about things. So it's a really cool moment. But for us, it's like, where's the notebook or the file on our phone where we are just constantly putting in information about, how they are throughout the day, what they need, what they're interested in. And then the more you can play into their interests and passions through assignments, the less resistance you're going to experience. It all is vital information that you use later to create the schedule, the, learning plans, all that sort of stuff should come from what you get from deschooling. And for your kids, it gives them a break to shake off the stress and the anxiety that they've been feeling at school and build up their confidence in other ways through games and activities that they really like, that they choose themselves.
Yes. My kids, we had a similar experience. They went to school for 1 year, and it took a year and a half to deschool them from that.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yes. But I think I did probably even more deschooling, because, if you went to a public school, or if you're the product of a public school education, it's really hard to open your mind to all these kinds of possibilities. And it kind of feels counterintuitive to just let your kids hang out and play. You're like, no, we should be learning. I've taken on this really big responsibility. Let's get to it immediate. And I think a lot of people kind of fall over that stumbling block when they start out.
Yeah, but you've got to remove the pressure, because learning isn't linear. And so a child, I put a lot of pressure on myself when my child was 5, 6 years old that they weren't reading yet. And it wasn't just me, right? Everyone was asking grandparents, aunts, uncles, are they reading? Are they reading? That was the big question. And my my kid wasn't. And so I put all this pressure on myself, and then that was transferred onto my kid in a very unpredictable way. It does not make anybody feel good to feel, pressure from mom to read, right? They just weren't ready. And that's the reminder that you can't rush development. So if you go into homeschooling with this pressure that your child has to be doing and hitting the same goalposts as the other kids in that grade, then you're kind of missing what homeschooling is, because homeschooling is so hyper individualized for neurodivergent kids and not. It's meant to be so hyper individualized. It's about the individual child's needs, the individual child's development, the individual child's interests, so that they get such a personalized learning experience that they learn way beyond what they could in school. So the idea of just a packaged curriculum that mimics the learning topics from school that they're going to do at home, it's it's kind of missing the point of homeschooling going way beyond the limitations put on learning in a classroom setting. And so that does require, like you said, deschooling on our part, but also really having a totally different vision of what education is and what learning looks like. And that's where, I talk about it as like higher level learning. Like a lot of curriculum sticks with comprehension questions because then the answers are in the back for you to know if your kid is right or wrong. But the problem, it's good to know if they understood what they read, but if it's only comprehension level, then you're never asking for their participation and they don't have agency in their learning. Then reading becomes, can you recall what you've read? Can you repeat what you've just read? Where's the analysis? What do you think about what you've just read? And for neurodivergent kids, more than anyone else, if they don't have high level, meaningful, purposeful learning, if they can't connect to what they're learning, they can't do it. They won't do it. And so it actually puts more on us to really understand how to plan. And so that's why that's such a big part of what I do. I mean, communication is a massive part of, having wonderful experiences with our neurodivergent kids, but it's communication to then foster learning, and they need those learning experiences that are going to be right for them, that they can really get into and get excited about and learn, and then showcase what they're learning in creative, new, exciting ways. So for me, I think learning is when you can take knowledge and skills and then apply them to a brand new situation. Then you know that someone has learned something. So, just the comprehension questions don't allow a child to do that. And then I think, that's where it gets boring, it gets tedious, it could feel too hard, it could just feel really uncomfortable and unpleasant to keep doing those assignments. So that's why I'm saying, everyone needs to kind of adjust to the idea that you're the expert. You know your child better than whoever wrote that curriculum. And again, I write curriculum. I'm really, but there's no way as a curriculum writer, we can't assume prior knowledge, but we do assume skill level based on the grade because we know what they are supposed to be able to do in fourth grade, right? So if your child is developmentally on a different journey and they don't have those exact skills, then they can't do those assignments. And if they are aware and excited and interested and curious, they probably have a lot of prior knowledge. They probably know a lot about dinosaurs or trains or whatever before doing that unit. So then it feels kind of boring. It's not intellectually stimulating. So then as the parents, we have to get in there and we have to make changes, and then we have to supplement, add, and oftentimes create different activities that just take it to a much higher level. That's what they crave. When we give them intellectually stimulating, really high level learning experiences, it's not for our ego. It's not to, oh, look what my child has just done. It's so that they get their needs met and they're learning and continuing to be challenged, which is actually what makes learning fun. So that's, you can probably hear the smile on my face. That's the passion. That's the awesome part, is that there's no limitations, there's no rules, and you don't have to figure out how to do that for 30 kids at once. You only get to do that with your child or your children, and you know them and you know what they love and you know what they're interested in. So you can use that and connect it to the topics, and you can even choose your own topics. Nobody is saying that it must be done in this way in this time frame. So the idea that there's no rules is, can be a little unnerving. We like structure. But that's why that's why parents work with me, because then we figure out what that planning looks like, how to get all those experiences and all that, the knowledge and the skills, the learning, the practice, all of that, the skills are being developed in a way that meets your kids where they're at. And then they build their confidence because they see themselves growing. They see how much they're learning. They see what they're able to do, and they're so proud of themselves. And it's a very different experience than the anxiety that they had at school, the fear of being asked to read out loud, or the, dread of going to art class because maybe the art teacher said that you know, they did something wrong with their drawing. The sky can't be purple, and they never want to draw again. We're removing all of that. We're removing those rules and those limitations so that they just get to be themselves. And we're validating that that is more than enough. And then we're helping them develop and grow and learn and advance. And that's the beauty of homeschooling. That's why it's so effective for neurodivergent kids.
Absolutely, yes. I totally agree with you. My kids have thrived since we took them out of public school, and I can't imagine ever sending them back to school again. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Been a great experience for us. So you're hosting a summit, and I'm also going to be a speaker there. And I'm very, very excited about being a speaker there. And it's specifically for neurodivergent homeschooling, but you've got a lot of different interesting speakers there. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the summit and what can people expect and how can people attend?
Sure. Thank you. So I know, as a homeschooling parent of a very unique child, I know how difficult it can be, especially when you first get started and it's really a struggle and you're not really sure what to do and which way to turn. And maybe if you're listening, you already get some support because you listen to Charlotte's podcast, this incredible podcast. But I think that there's a lot of different areas that we need as homeschooling parents. Most of us are moms, and there's a lot of support that we need, and there's a lot of different areas where we need support. And so I thought, I want to just bring together an incredible list, 21 experts in different areas, so that I can give support to parents for how to thrive, not just what to do with your child. So it's really, the summit isn't really focused on what are you teaching your child. It's really focused on what do you need as the homeschooling parent in order to feel confident and empowered and good every day, have your needs met, and really thrive as a homeschooling parent and as an individual. So there's topics like self-care, time management, but also how to create some additional streams of income. Because I always hear from parents that the biggest thing that would help with homeschooling is having more money. So what are some ways that you can create some additional revenue streams for your family? There's a couple of speakers to discuss that. We're talking about communication, how to handle your kids' big emotions, how, to take care of your mental wellness. There's just so many topics, because there's 21 different speakers and each one is addressing a different topic. So that's really the point of the summit, is how do we help you feel like you're set up to do this and feel successful and have your needs met, and not feel like you have to kind of sacrifice yourself in order to homeschool your neurodivergent kids. So that's the summit. It's from July 16th through the 31st. It's virtual. So you can register the website, www.mlccoaching.com/summit-registration. And to make it easy to register, it's completely free to register. And each day, one or two speakers, their segments will be available to you for that day. And you'll have, access to the whole thing. If you want to get a VIP pass to have access to all of the speakers for several months, that's an option. But it's completely free to just check in every day and see, who the speakers are and what they're saying. And then, there are links. Every single speaker has a free resource available to you. So it's just a way to get incredible information, lots of support, and then know who's out there and who's doing what in case you want to connect with them and get their services after the summit. So that's what we're doing. So it's really like a convention of sorts, but on your computer, on your phone, where you can watch at your convenience.
And I really love the fact that you made the topic so varied. We can often just concentrate, I think, especially when we start out, we can concentrate just on the learning aspect. And it's very easy to kind of get lost in homeschooling at the beginning. I don't know how you felt at the beginning. I was like burnt out really, really quickly. But it's good to kind of know about self-care, especially, and also, like obviously my audience is working homeschool moms, also finding ways to start a business or to maybe even move from a corporate job into a side hustle or into like self-employment where you can spend more time at home with your kids. I think those are super useful topics.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I've learned a lot from recording this segments. One of the speakers, her entire business is helping families get scholarships for college so that it's debt-free college. And another one of the speakers, her whole business is focused around setting up online stores. And that includes kids setting up online stores. And every year I say to my child, what do you want to sell? What do you want to make? What business do you want to have? Because I can't think of a better way for kids to learn so many useful skills for later on in life, right? Branding, marketing, budgeting, right? All of the math involved in creating a business and all of the skills you have to develop to set it up and then, market it, brand it, all of that. And every year, my kid says, not yet. I'm too young, Mom. Wait. Just wait, Mom. Just wait. Like, okay, this year, So hopefully this year or next year, right? But I think it's an incredible experience if it's a possibility for your family. I mean, if it's a business that makes money, that's awesome. But even if it doesn't, just learning all of those different skills involved, then, when they become adults and they, like us, want to start their own business, they would have some skills. I started a coaching business as a writer and an educator with zero business skills. And I'm learning very quickly, but it would have been a lot easier if somewhere, along the lines I had learned these things. It would have made my life a lot easier. So I feel like the speakers are going to give a lot of ideas and possibilities to everyone who attends. Really kind of open your eyes to see the possibilities, ideas, get things churning for what's possible for the future, if not right now. So I think it'll be very exciting.
Absolutely. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. Absolutely. A great summit. And thank you so much for sharing about the summit and also for some useful tips for homeschooling neurodivergent kids. And thank you for taking the time to chat to me today. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Drop me a DM on Instagram or post on the Working Homeschool Moms support group over on Facebook. And let me know what resonated the most with you. It would also be great if you could rate, review, and subscribe, or share the podcast with a working homeschool mom who might need it. It's my mission to support as many working homeschool moms as possible. Until next time, take care